Hey guys! Happy New Year! Happy 2017! It's a new year and probably nothing else about it is gonna be new. It's just gonna be the same thing as last year. But either way, it's an exciting thing. New year. Happy New Year to you. Alright, that's about it. That's all I had to say. Let's move on. You already know I had to start off with a crazy story time in 2017 because, you know, I kind of fucked up the last 3 months of 2016. I never posted. Still sorry about that. But here we are, and the first thing that I need to let you know before we start the story is that this story is not about me. Well, I mean, technically I was involved in the story a little bit, but this story is about my mom. And believe me, I know what you're thinking, okay? Every time I see someone like a YouTuber, a Storytime YouTuber doing a story that's not really about them, it's like about someone else, I'm like, yeah, no thanks. And I would normally never ever do a video like this, but this is an exception because this story is fucking crazy, okay? This shit is seriously crazy, disturbing. I cannot believe it happened. I cannot believe it happened while I was living in this person's house. Like, this shit's wild. I FaceTimed with my mom today and she gave me all the juicy details because I was really young when this was happening. I'm not exactly sure how old I was. I was around like 4 or 5, I want to say. But somehow I do remember this person and I remember living in her house and all that stuff. So hearing all these details really freaked me out when I heard them this morning. I was like, wow, that bitch was literally insane. And I just wanted to share the story with you because it's a good one. It's a really fucking good one. But I am kind of scared that lady's gonna see this and come and kill us all. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so my mom met this woman because they worked together in the same HR department at the company where they worked at. I don't want to say too much, but they worked together in the same department, so that's how they met. I'm gonna call this lady Sandra. So Sandra worked with my mom, and my mom always saw her as kind of someone who was a loner, kind of weird, a little funky town. My mom also said that she was super funny. So even though she was a loner, she was kind of weird, a little sketchy, she always made my mom laugh, so slowly but surely they became friends. This was a few years after my mom divorced my dad, so she was a single mom, and Sandra was also a single mom. So they would go out together when my mom didn't have us, when we were at my dad's house. They would go out together, they would party, do whatever, you know. Everyone kind of knew that Sandra was a little weird. It wasn't just my mom that thought this. Apparently the whole department that worked with them kind of thought that Sandra was a little, you know, a little freaky. She would just do things and say things that wouldn't add up, or she would just do sneaky shit. I don't know. My mom didn't get into detail, but she said that she was weird and everybody knew it. But again, she was super funny, so it was a conflicting thing because it's not like she was just some weirdo that hid in a corner. She had a partially charming personality. So let's get into why we ended up moving in with this woman and when shit really fucking hit the fan. So my mom was going to buy an apartment. My uncle was gonna give her the money to make a down payment on an apartment, and then she was gonna buy it, and me and my brother and her were gonna live together. She was ready to do that. The only problem was the apartment wasn't actually gonna be up for sale for like a few months. So it was kind of a weird period of time where she was renting a property, and this woman, Sandra, I guess felt like they were good enough friends and told my mom, hey, don't worry about it. You shouldn't be spending money on rent. Just save up. You're about to buy an apartment, and why don't you just move in with me and my son? We have the room. We have a townhouse. It's already paid off. You don't need to pay rent. Just stay here for a few months and yeah, you could just wait until your apartment's ready. Obviously, my mom was a single mom and this was a friend of hers and she had a child. It's not just like a single lady offering my mom, oh, come and live with me. It was a mother. It was someone who she'd spent a lot of time with. She was just like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And we all ended up moving into Sandra's house. I do vividly remember this house, which is really weird because I don't have a lot of memories from like 4 or 5 years old, but I do remember this house. I don't really remember her, but I remember her son. Me, my brother, and her son stayed in one room. My mom had her own room and Sandra had her own room. At this point, my mom hadn't put 2 and 2 together yet, but weird shit had already happened. My mom says that every single time that she dated a guy, Sandra hated them. It didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter if they were fucking Obama. She didn't give a fuck. She hated them. Another weird thing that she didn't really connect to Sandra, but that started happening was at that time there were beepers. And forgive me if this explanation of beepers is a little confusing because I was around the era of beepers, but I never had a beeper because I wasn't that cool. So I kind of know how they work, but not really because I never had one. So basically when you get beeped, you can get beeped with a certain code. Like for instance, you can get beeped with a certain number and then you go to a phone and then you call that number. But you can also send codes and different codes meant different things. Like I love you had a different code, all that shit. So when she would go out on a date with a guy, she would get a bunch of fucking codes sent to her. Now here's the thing about beepers. They're anonymous. Did you know that? I didn't. You can't tell which beeper it's coming from. You're just receiving a code because normally what you're being sent is a way to contact someone, so that would let you know who it is. But if you're just receiving a code, you don't know who it is. I believe people used to send codes and then like have a space and then send like a signature code type thing so that you would know it came from someone. But that's not what was happening. She was receiving a bunch of anonymous beepers. beeps. She was receiving a bunch of messages from an anonymous person with a bunch of like, I love you, besos. She said she got like 20-digit codes that meant nothing, and she was like, why is someone sending me 20 digits? That doesn't even make any sense. And eventually the guys that she would go on dates with would get upset. They would be like, what the fuck? What's going on? And they would think it had something to do with her ex-husband or anything like that. Like they just started getting jealous, and my mom would eventually just end up breaking up with them and it wouldn't work out. My mom never thought that this had anything to do with Sandra. Is that what I said her name was? I hope so. And when they ended up breaking up, Sandra, of course, being my mom's friend, would be like, oh my god, you're single, let's go out, let's get over this, let me suck your titty. I'm just kidding, she didn't say that, but I'm pretty sure she wanted to. But whatever, they would go out. Until one day, something really, really strange happened. My mom went on a date with this guy, and they ended up going in my mom's car, so the guy parked his car in guest parking in their neighborhood. They went out to the movies, and when they got back, they noticed that his truck was vandalized. Someone had keyed his car, and someone had smashed one of his windows in, which is fucking terrifying. Imagine you're just going out on a first date with someone and it fucking, what? Outside of the truck there was a brick. It had just been like thrown a little bit further away from the car. Whatever, my mom and this guy were obviously like super shocked and they dealt with it, whatever. My mom goes home and she obviously tells Sandra like, dude, can you believe that this fucking happened? Like someone vandalized his car. My mom said that Sandra was acting super nervous and weird and that she would like start laughing and kind of making a joke out of it, but then not, and she was just acting weird. And then my mom was like, okay, what the fuck? So she went back out to where the car was vandalized and she checked the brick that was used to smash the window in, or at least she assumed that that's what smashed the window in. And she fucking realized that that brick came from the front of their townhouse, Sandra's townhouse. It was Sandra! And I can't even imagine what was going through my mom's brain at that time. Like, what the fuck? First of all, your kids are living in this woman's house. Second of all, you don't even know why she did it. I mean, of course, the first thing your mind probably runs to is like, oh my gosh, she's in love with me or something weird is happening here. But like, you don't really know. And it's not like you're gonna fucking go ask her, because clearly she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So like, what do you do? My mom has always been amazing, like with instinct, with everything. So my mom's instinct was definitely not to confront her, like at all. So she just acted like nothing happened and she was kind of plotting how the fuck she was gonna get out of the house without making this woman realize why she was leaving. So everyone in my mom's job was kind of close. So the next day my mom talked to her manager and told him what happened. She was just like, I don't understand like what's going on, but this happened last night and I'm like scared and I don't know how I'm gonna leave. And he goes, what do you mean? You were out on a date with someone? And my mom was like, yeah, that's the fucking shocking part of this story. Like, yeah, someone fucking vandalized his car. And he goes, oh, I mean, yeah, no, I thought you and Sandra were dating. And she was like, no. She asked him like, why do you think that we were dating? She my friend, that's it. And he was like, well, I mean, that's what she told me. She told me you guys were dating. At this point, my mom knew that shit was fucked up. So like I said, she started to plot how she was gonna leave without disrupting everything and without Sandra killing us all. We were staying at my dad's house when my mom told Sandra that she was gonna leave, and she told her that she was gonna leave because she was scared for Sandra. Very good psychology, mama. Kudos. She told Sandra basically that because of the vandalization, like she didn't feel safe in that neighborhood because she said she didn't know if it was like an enemy of the guy that she was dating, and like she just didn't know, so she didn't want to put Sandra and her kid in danger. Just a bunch of shit. And at this point, obviously Sandra becomes fucking distraught and she just starts bawling because she realizes, first of all, that she just bit herself in her own ass. What she wanted was my mom to stay close, and that was the complete opposite of what she was doing. She was pushing my mom away because she's a psycho. She told her, it's only a week until my apartment's ready. I'm just gonna go stay at my mom's. It's no big deal, you know, whatever. Sandra came to my mom the next day at work, like super distraught, and was like, can we go talk on the roof? And was just like, it's like an ex-girlfriend or like someone that you just broke their heart. And my mom said that she thought that fucking Sandra was gonna throw her off the roof, which I don't blame her. But my mom was able to calm her down and convince her that they were still friends and that everything was fine. Like she told her, I'm still your friend. I'm always here for you. Thank you so much for everything you've done, all that shit. And she was able to calm everything down. Now over time, they just kind of got a little bit more distant, but it was awkward because they still worked together. But my mom thought that everything was gonna be fine. She thought that she had been cleared of this problem more or less because, you know, Sandra hadn't done anything crazy and Sandra just wouldn't talk to her that much. So that seemed like a good sign to my mom. But here's where shit gets cuckoo. Like even more cuckoo. My mom had gone to a high school reunion and she had gotten the picture sent to Sandra's house. But apparently Sandra wasn't getting any of her mail. Like none of the mail was going to her house anymore. So my mom was like, okay, I guess I'm not getting that picture back, whatever. And my mom actually went to the apartment closing of the apartment that she had just bought. And they told her in the final check, because they check again at the end, your final credit. And they said, wait a minute, we're seeing that you have some unpaid credit cards. And my mom was like, that's impossible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty sure you could guess where this is going. They worked in HR of the company that they were working in. That's human resources. That means they have access to all employee files. They're the people that hire and fire people. They have access to everything. So what Sandra did was she took all the credit card applications, you know, you get those sent in the mail like every so often, and she filled them out in my mom's name using my mom's social security number. Then she got approved for the credit cards. She got them sent to her and she was spending money on my mom's credit cards that my mom never applied for. My mom even found out that she had attempted to buy a car in my mom's name. Fucking psycho. And my mom realized right then and there that obviously this was her way of trying to get back to my mom for, I guess, not fucking being her lover. Like, I don't know. But my mom didn't really know what to do because at that time credit card fraud was so huge that the police couldn't really even keep up with it. So when she approached the police, they're like, we could file a report, but honestly, probably not much is gonna get done. You should just call your credit card companies and flag that account, and that's really all you can do at this point. So my mom did that without actually confronting Sandra because, mind you, they still work together. While all of this is fucking happening, they still work together. So my mom calls the credit card company, she flags the credit accounts, she tells them you need like triple identification from me if anything is to be charged and whatever. She did a whole bunch of shit. And basically, Sandra found out, she had to have found out because she was using the credit cards and then obviously they probably started getting declined and she was probably like, oh my god, she found out but she probably doesn't know it's me and whatever she thought. I don't fucking know. But neither person confronted each other. Sandra doesn't know that my mom knows. They just kind of continued life and then just completely went distant. Now, something that is weird about Sandra is that Sandra is my grandma's husband's goddaughter. Whatever, point is she's a part of the family somehow. You would think that that would keep her in our family and we would see her, we would be forced to see her more often, but no. She's actually estranged from that side of the family because she's stolen stuff, she's been dishonest, like she's just not well, so nobody even talks to her. So we haven't seen or heard from her in years. We don't even know where she is like on this planet Earth right now. She could be right behind me. After all this happened, my mom started thinking back into like the really weird things that just never added up and then now they did. Like for instance, my mom told Sandra like, oh my god, I think your cousin is gorgeous. He's super hot. And Sandra was like, oh, you think he's hot? Okay, I'll try to set you guys up. And my mom would come home and there would be a rose on the counter and Sandra would say, yeah, my cousin actually stopped by and he left this rose for you. He wants to go on a date with you. He wants to see you. All this shit that she would tell my mom, and none of that ever happened. The reason my mom later found that out is because the cousin at that time had a girlfriend who ended up later being his wife. He never had any interest in my mom. He was always taken. Like, she was just making up that he would come by. It was weird. But yeah, my mom knows nothing of her. Slowly but surely, she just went away and I don't know. I don't know where she is. I hope she doesn't come back because of this video. My mom hates talking about this. She was like, oh my god, you're really gonna do a story about it? But in the end, she was fine with it, obviously, which is why I'm doing this video. But yeah, holy shit, is that not fucking crazy? And it actually sucks because now my mom finds it hard to trust like girlfriends and just like stuff. Like she always is scared for me too. She'll be like, I don't know about this friend. Like this friend's doing a little bit of weird stuff here and a little, like she's just paranoid now, which I totally get because what the fuck. But anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys like this kind of story time. It's not gonna be a common thing that I do, but I really wanted to share this story with you because what the fuck, and I thought it was juicy. I was involved in this story, meaning I was living in the house with this crazy psychopath, but I was only 4 or 5, so there's only so much I could tell you from my perspective. I only remember being in the backyard and Sandra would smoke, so there were like little cigarette butts and I would pretend that I would smoke. Like that's literally all I remember. Like that wouldn't be a good story time. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel because I put out new videos every Tuesday and Saturday, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye. And this guy, this fucking security guard, looks at my father and he says, yeah, old man, what are you gonna do? Luckily, my father didn't hear that because he must have been fucking steaming and he was walking away already. But that's when I took out my fucking phone and I started filming him, and this is the footage. You're not messing with me. Let's go. Leave. Yeah, say hello. Blue Martini security. Fuck you.